Locho sambo pa gyu trashi pa tuche tempe trinle yarngonda pelge drolo zambe tse parache palden lame shabla solvade Omo a guru vajra dara suma timu nisha sane karm Uta varda nyeshri bara varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timo Nisha Sane Karm Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timo Nisha Sane Karm Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Pakyuke kudan dagi lu, pakyuke sundan dagi nga, pakyuke tudan dagi yi, ten yerme chiktu jingi lu. Makyuke kudan dagi lu, makyuke sundan dagi nga, makyuke tudan dagi yi, ten yerme chiktu jingi lu. Mahamuni Shakyamunye Swaha Omuni Mahamuni Shakyamunye Swaha Omuni Mahamuni Shakyamunye Swaha. Sangye chedan soge chanam la chanchu pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonam gi rola pinchre sangye drupa reshu. Sangye chedan soge chanam la chanchu pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonam gi Drola pinchre sangye drupa resho. Sangye chedan soge chonam la chanchu pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi chinso gibe sonam ki drola pinchre sangye drupa resho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, I am very happy, especially because to start today this period of teachings, this morning when I was coming down, I had this moment of joy, remembering like so many years, like we have coming here and doing these retreats and teachings, and normally what happens is that we get trapped in our daily lives, and we get trapped in our own little mechanisms, and actually we are quite boring because mostly we are always complaining about the same things and suffering about the same reasons. So basically what happens is that good part of our daily life we get trapped into pointing the finger towards what we think is the cause of our suffering and trying to change the world around us and trying to deal with that. Very often we are trapped within that and trying to look for the things that bring pleasure to us, and we just stay within that. And if it would bring a real result would be wonderful, but we stay somehow in this constant cycle and we really don't get out of it normally. So instead, when we dedicate some time, like to go through the teachings of Dharma, to the practices, to the meditation, and this brings us to a deeper level of understanding of ourselves, of the reasons and the causes of our own suffering, or where are the solutions for our own suffering, how can we be of more benefit for others. All of this helps us. So for me, if I remember the most special moments, beautiful, joyful moments I had, like more meaningful type of joy, not this superficial type of happiness, but like a deeper type of joy. I had this mostly when receiving and many times when giving teachings also. And for me, these are very precious moments. And today we start as the first day. We will have a total of 12 days together until the 8th. And this for me is something very special to have all these days together. I'm very happy because normally we have only one weekend. I need to hurry up the teaching because I need to instead to have some days more. I think that's very good. At least for me, it's very useful. So today I wanted to make an introduction basically about the teachings that we are going to give, the reason why I chose to do the teachings on Lojong. Lojong, Lo means mind, Jong means the training, so mind training. Why I chose to do this mind training during these days. And we took one of the reasons because we have this booklet which was given to everyone when Trijang Rinpoche was here. And Trijang Rinpoche, His Holiness Trijang Rinpoche gave one of the teachings here, which is the 8 verses mind training. And he gave the transmission of the jewel garland of the Bodhisattva also. And so we need to give continuity to that. And also is one of the teachings that I most like. And this is a small booklet. It is a small little booklet, but it's extremely, extremely precious. I could say personally, if I needed to exchange with something, I would not exchange this for a lot of things. For me, it's one of the most precious things I have ever received and I have ever seen, actually. This is for me, no doubt. The words that are in there is like, for me, something extremely, extremely precious. We have 4 texts inside this here, which all of them are very, very precious. Just the 4th text is a little bit, how to say, more advanced in the sense it's a self-criticism text written by Panchen Lobsang Chokyi Gyaltsen. So if we don't have some good basis before, it may look a bit strange, some parts. But we may have a good basis before. Anyhow, I wanted to explain why I choose to talk about the mind training and what is the reason and what is the mind training and how we do it. Basically, Lama Tsongkhapa, when teaching the 3 aspects of the path, he always goes through what it is, why, and how. For example, what is renunciation, why to develop renunciation, how to develop renunciation. Similar to that, I wanted to bring to you what is the mind training, why we need to develop the mind training, and how to train our mind. Okay? So today, most probably we'll not even open the texts, but I advise everyone, if you have it already, to read it. If you don't have it, to get one and to read it. And these are texts that need to be read many, many times. So this is my request somehow. And so today we will just start with some brief introduction. Okay. There are 4 points in our life that are not only important, but they are fundamental for the way how we live. Okay? And we are not talking about philosophy. We can explain this from the Buddhist philosophic point of view and so on. And we are talking about 4 fundamental aspects that are very, very important. They will determine the way how we experience our own life, what we do, where we put our energy, both for us and other situations also. So it's these 4 aspects, they are fundamental even if we're talking about a company. They are fundamental in a relationship. They are fundamental in a family. They are fundamental in a Dharma center. They are fundamental in our whole life. Okay? And even if we are not aware of these 4 points, they are always present. And we must take good care of them. We must direct our mind clearly to them. Okay? So, what are these 4 points? And I say, as I said, are 4 things that it's not a matter of understanding. They determine the way how we experience reality. This is so, so important. If we change them, all the rest will change. It's like, for example, the land where we need to plant. Depending on the land, the plant will grow differently. So in the same way, we need to have a good land. We need to have a good basis for whatever else is going to come above. And even if more than that, it really determines the way we act, the way we think, the way we live our life. These 4 points. That's why it's something that is extremely important that we need to take care. The 4 points are basically, first one, understanding the symptoms. What is going wrong? Okay. Symptoms are very precious and very important because the symptoms show to us that something is not okay. So we must understand the symptom. We must really experience it. And sometimes we have a problem, but we don't see the symptom. And we don't see the symptom as something bad. So what happened? We'd never do anything to change it, right? No? So, the other attitude, which is not really so correct, but we do a lot, is when we see the symptom, but we only care for the symptom. We don't care where the symptom is coming from. So, if we make the first example, as we said, of a company, if in a company there is a problem, maybe money is being lost in a way or another, there is conflict here or there, wherever the symptoms manifest. The question is not only how I do to eliminate the symptom. Where is the symptom coming from? What is the reason why this is like this? Otherwise, what happens? We take care of the symptom. After some time, it appears again. Because the cause is still there. So, the fundamental question is first understand the symptom, but then the fundamental question is why? Where is it coming from? What are the actual causes of this? And we should not be afraid of understanding the symptom. We should not be afraid of seeing it. Because one of the first things that we need to do in order to solve a problem is understanding the problem. No? There is this saying that says, seeing clearly the problem is already 50% of the solution. So, first thing, we need to look clear at the situation, understand it clear, see clearly what is this problem. So then, this already gives us a lot of the solution. Another thing is that in order to overcome one's own enemy, first you need to know the enemy. In order to overcome the enemy, you need to know the enemy well. And this makes me remember this brief story of one Indian master, 2 Indian masters, one Buddhist and one non-Buddhist. I don't remember their names. My memory for names is terrible, and for time also. Were many centuries ago, but at least 1,200 years ago. At the time in India, there was a tradition which I really liked very much. It was the fact that between religions and religious traditions, spiritual traditions, they could make public debates. So, for instance, let's say I am from one specific tradition, I am Buddhist, and I have my temple with my monastery and all my disciples and monks and so on. And I am the head of this temple. And then come one master from another tradition, and he says, okay, I want to debate with you publicly about fundamental aspects. I want to question fundamental aspects of your tradition. And then he will come and he will open a public debate about fundamental aspects that were different between my point of view and his point of view. The one that loses the debate, me or him, we need to convert ourselves to the other tradition with all the monasteries and temples and disciples all together. Because the most important is the truth. So if it's proven to me that what I was seeing was wrong, I need to change my view. Okay? This is how it was before. So there was at that time one non-Buddhist master, I don't remember even from which Indian tradition, and he was extremely knowledgeable and wise, and he was winning a lot of debates. So many places they were being converted to this other tradition from Buddhism, and this Buddhist master was worried about that. So he said, okay, I must understand very well him, because nobody could win him on debate, because nobody really understood well his philosophy. So somebody needs to really understand his tradition deeply in order to be able to make clear and to debate well. But he was keeping it very secretly. So what he did was that the Buddhist master, he dressed in a very simple clothes. He went to the household of this master and he offered himself as a servant, faking he was from a lower caste. So he said, I like to offer my services in exchange for food and a shelter. If you can, I'm willing to do anything for you. They accepted him as a servant, and he was doing the most humble jobs of the house, or washing the feet of the master and cleaning and the garbage, whatever. Like they were doing the most humble works. And he stayed in the house of this non-Buddhist master for 7 years. Remember, he was a well-known teacher with many disciples. He was not just whatever person that arrived there. So he gave up everything. He stayed there for 7 years. And during the 7 years, this non-Buddhist master, he developed trust on him, because he saw, look at this servant. He's actually quite intelligent. He's stable. He's sensible. And his own son of the non-Buddhist master was not really willing to learn so much about the teachings of his tradition and so on. So slowly he started to teach to his servant, because his servant was very knowledgeable, he could understand things so clearly, and he was concentrated, and he had all the qualities he wanted on his son, actually. Until one day he taught he opened the secrets to him, and he explained everything to him very clearly. Short time later, he went out as a servant, and he invited him for a debate. And he won the debate. So this is one story which is showing us the importance of knowing the other in order to be able to really deal with it. So even if we say, in order to overcome the enemy, we must know the enemy well. It's not enough just to have our own strength. We must know the enemy so we can deal with it. The same thing means, in order for us to deal with the problem, we must know the problem. We must have a clear idea about it. It's not enough just to say, I don't want it, and put strength against it. Okay? So, first point, recognize well the symptom. Understand what is going wrong. Okay? For in our body, in our mind, in our life as a whole, in whatever situation. It can be in a company, it can be in a family, it can be in a relationship. See and recognize the symptoms. Second step, second point, why? Why am I suffering? Normally we point the finger into many things, but there must be a reason of why of the symptom. That's a very important point, because we can only truly cure from the symptom once the cause has been eliminated. Okay? So we need really to understand which are the causes of the symptom. Third point, where do I want to go? What is my objective? And this is maybe one of the most important points, actually. Because if we do not have a dream, if we do not have an utopia, if we do not believe in something, if we don't have a higher goal, we just remain trapped in the little small reward-seeking goals of, I want my water, I get the water, how good, and now I don't know what I want anymore, We need to have higher goals, higher objectives. This is extremely important. And even from a social point of view, I have the sensation we live in a society where we have lost most of the utopias. Before there was an utopia for, some people had utopia oh, everything will be fine with democracy. Other people thought, oh, we had the utopia of socialism or this or that. Nowadays, people don't believe anymore. They believe I'm going to be happy when I get the new model of the telephone or whatever, It's like, it's really, really, really short-term, reward-based happiness that we are looking somehow. But the point is that it cannot sustain. So, even my great-grandfather, he was a man of great success in many ways. From the, how do you call it? He was not businessman exactly. Open factories and in making investments and so on. Anyhow, he was extremely successful in his own work. And one thing he always used to say is that we must believe in utopias. We cannot give up the utopia. Because when we have a higher objective, this gives us the strength to do something, to go beyond the daily difficulties. And it's so important for us to have a higher objective. But the higher objective must be coherent with the present conditions that we have. We should not make an objective that is incoherent with the conditions and the potential that we have right now. I cannot, if I make the objective, I want to get pregnant. What is the only possibility for me to get pregnant? Die and be reborn as a woman, okay? And then who knows? Okay? But in this life, with this body, it's not possible. So it's useless that I make an objective, I must get pregnant. It's useless. Because I don't have the basic conditions in order to do that, right? So, if I say I want to get to the moon, okay, now it's, I think, too late to become an astronaut and try to get the moon, So we must put objectives that are coherent with the conditions that we have. Otherwise, what may happen, we put a very high objective, but it's not coherent with the possibilities we have, with our own resources. And then after we act as being victim, because we cannot get the objective. Because this person didn't do his part, that person didn't do that, or whatever. So we need to base ourselves on the result right now. What can I do? What can I get? When we are able or not, is what I have. I have this mind with the around of me that I have. The people, the materials. With this, what can I do? Because it's like cooking. If we need to start cooking, but then we look and we say, but if I had that ingredient, I could do something better. And if I had that oven, I could do it in a different way. And if I had this or that, it would be different. Sure, it would be different if you had something else. Okay? But what do we have? This, and that ingredient. That's what I have. In the moment that we accept the ingredients that we have, we give value to the ingredients we have. And then with that, we are able to do something beautiful and good. If we do not give value to the ingredients we have, and we stay complaining of what we don't have, and how wonderful would have been if we had this or that, and so on, then we never give value, and then it's going to come out something just like this, like that. Because we do not value what we have truly. So, it's very important for us just to accept and to value the resources that we have. Do this mind have problems? Sure. Is our body perfect? No. Is our conditions around us perfect? No. But do we have good conditions? Yes. Do we have qualities in our body? Yes. Do we have qualities in our mind? Yes. We have a beautiful potential. So it's recognized with what I have, what can I do? And the third and the fourth point is, what do I need to do in order to get where I want? Which in the practical level is later the most important, is the longer one. But I want to get to that place, what do I need to do? Okay, so recognize in which situation I am, what are the problems, what is the suffering. Where is the suffering coming from? Which is the state of being that I want to reach, and what do I need to do to reach that state? In other words, there is a metaphor which is used in the teachings, which is first, I need to recognize the sickness, abandon the causes, desire a state of health, and apply the medicine. Okay? That's the process of healing. Because if I apply the medicine but I do not abandon the causes, I will not cure really. Okay? So, this is how to say. It's more than important, it's fundamental. Because in the moment we change, the way how we live our life changes. Okay? So, it's not just something intellectual. It is something that we need to feel. So when we talk about what is suffering, we need to feel our own suffering. We need to understand what it is. When we talk about which are the causes, it's not just something intellectual. All I know is ignorance and selfishness, but that person, but this, but that. No. It must be truly inside of us. And one of the very important points that I was saying is like, what do I really want? How do we know what we want? How do we know what we really desire, what we really want? By simply looking at what we do. Where we put our energy is where we project our happiness. Okay. A very practical level, yes. Ideally, no, I know ideally my happiness is somewhere else. But in the practice level, where am I putting my real energy? Into sitting down and meditating and putting my full energy on that and any moment I have for that? Or I'm putting my energy into, I don't know, whatever. Okay? It's like being very direct. If we ask, why have we not yet reached enlightenment? The main reason is because we don't want. We don't care much about being free from samsara and enlightenment. I'm sorry to put in these terms. But I believe most of the times we really don't want it. Not don't want in the sense that we reject it. We even don't know what it is, so how can we want something that we don't know what it is? And as the 6th Dalai Lama said, remember that the 6th Dalai Lama, he didn't want to follow the monastic life, and much less he wanted to have political power. So he escaped from the Potala after some time. And before that, he would escape during the nights. There is the window in the Potala until now where they show from where the 6th Dalai Lama used to escape. And in the village behind the Potala, there are many houses painted in yellow, which are the houses of the many girlfriends of the 6th Dalai Lama. He was full of girlfriends everywhere. And one of the particular things is that he wrote many poems. Most of them are like love poems. And in 2 poems, he said something very interesting. And one time he wrote this poem, he said the same verse referring to one specific woman, and the other time he wrote the same verse referring to women in general. And making a little bit a translation which is not total literal, but the meaning translation, he says, if I would desire enlightenment as much as I desire woman, I would have already been enlightened. And in the other verse, it says, to one woman, it says, if I would desire enlightenment as much as I desire you, I would have already been enlightened. It's true. In the sense that when we really, really want something or someone, when, as we say, we fall in love, when we get passionate by something or someone, sometimes people can even fall in love with themselves. But like when we really want something so much and we get passionate for it, how many times a day we think about it? One time I made this question, and there was a friend that was completely in love at the moment. Then the answer was, one time that never ends. The point that I want to say is that when we really want something, we think about it, then we put energy to get it. So, where am I putting my energy? What do I really want? That's a very important question for us to make ourselves. So, where I am, why, which are my suffering, why am I suffering, where do I want to go, which is the state of well-being and happiness that I want to reach, and how do I need to do to reach that? What can I do to reach that state? Okay? These are the basis for the Four Noble Truths of Buddha also, but are very, very fundamental aspects in our life. Okay? And it's something that we need to reflect deeply, and as we move along with our own life, they can shape, they can get deeper and deeper. We get a deeper understanding of suffering, we get a deeper understanding of what are the causes of suffering, we get a better view of what we desire, and a more clear idea of what we need to do. Okay? It's a process, it's an ongoing process as we move along with our own life. Okay, I think it's quite clear, right? Okay. Once we have seen, which are our own perception of what is our suffering, where is our suffering coming from, what is our objective, what do we do in order to reach our own objective. Once we have seen that, and we have somehow understood it, let's try to see a little bit what is the point of view which Buddha brought us. Okay, and normally we believe that the causes of our happiness will be when situations will be different. I will be happy when this will be in that way, that other thing will be this, when this person will act in that way, when that situation will be different, when I get this, when I get that, and so on. But the fact, based on our own experience, is as we move along our life, perfect conditions bring perfect happiness? No. I can tell from myself, I have the most wonderful conditions in my life. Truly, I have nothing that I can truly complain about it. But sure, there is always something that we think is missing, something that we think is not good, something that we think that could be better. Never enough. I know so many people around me that have the most wonderful conditions and still suffer. Still, it's not enough. Even we know by our own experience, when we get what we want, is that enough? Or suddenly we need something else? When we are able to deal with one difficulty, when one problem is solved, what happens? Another problem arises. So what does that mean? It's not enough for us just to eliminate problems. It's not enough for us just to try to find perfect conditions. This is not going to solve. Because the suffering is not coming from that. Because if suffering would be coming from an external condition, then it would be really simple. Make conditions perfect, everybody happy. No? We make one type of perfect condition, we make it in a way, we build up all the conditions in the right way, and then put everybody in the same system, done. Everybody happy. But this doesn't happen. We have been trying to do this for ages and ages, but simply we are not able. Why? Because it's not a matter of conditions. When I'm able to take away one condition that I see as a cause of suffering, not much sooner than later, again another condition appears, and then it's always one thing after the other, okay? So, the point is the following. According to Buddha, our suffering is not coming from the external conditions, but from internal causes. The internal causes are the root of our suffering is our ignorance, which is the way of relating to reality in an incoherent way. We relate to reality and in an incoherent way from what reality actually is. The second cause, the main cause, the root of suffering is ignorance. The main cause of suffering is selfishness. Selfishness is this self-cherishing attitude that we have, which in other words is the obsession with self-gratification. From that comes attraction and aversion. From attraction and aversion comes attachment, desire, insatisfaction, jealousy, envy, fear, anger, hatred, aversion, aggression, and impatience, and so on, that we know so well. Okay? And our suffering is coming from that. Even if we take, for instance, one example that we all know, talk a lot in these modern times, about stress. People complain a lot about stress, and I think many people are stressed in their lives, right? But what is actually stress? Stress, the definition I know, is that stress is when we have a normal cycle of getting tired, then resting, getting our energy back again, and then using our energy, getting tired, resting again, and this is a normal cycle. The stress is when we use our energy, we get tired, and before we are able to gain our energy back again, we get tired again. And before we're able to regain our energy, then we get tired again. And then we enter into this cycle. This is called a stress cycle. Okay? But what do we get stressed for? Because of the work? In the sense of how many things we need to do? No. I don't think people get stressed because they were dancing too much. Or because people get stressed, oh, you know, I had to walk the whole day in a beautiful place in the mountain or in the seaside. I am so stressed up. No. We can get tired physically. Yes, but not stressed. No. When we do something we like and we are comfortable and we are happy about it, do we get stressed? No. One example for me was when I was working to make this temple, all the paintings in the wall, you know? And I worked like I've never did before. And it was like for more or less 2 months, something more than 2 months. And for 2 months, it was like at least 18 hours per day in front of the computer. Working on everything, sleeping one night, yes, one night, no. It was like really crazy. And I was tired, yes. By the end of this, I remember the day that finished, I sent for print and finished, I slept for more than 14 hours. No, I was with a son and we were in a hotel nearby the place where they printed, and I just sit on the bed with the shoes, and so I say, oh, we go to eat something. And then, boom, I close my eyes, and then both him also, because he was in the same process. Then I open my eyes 14 hours later with my shoes, with everything, you know. I was tired, no doubt about that. But I was happy. It's one of the best memories I have of so many things I did. I was not stressed at all. So, what stressed us up? It's not the workload. It's the conflicts. It's the emotional imbalance. It's the anxiety, the anger, the fear. This is what is stressing us up. Even when sometimes I talk, people invite me into companies, and I always ask many of companies, small companies and very big corporations, I ask them, okay, what is giving the most difficulties for the company? The lack of knowledge and professional abilities, or the lack of emotional stability? And what everyone always says? The lack of emotional stability. So my question is then, why in the whole process of education no one is ever teaching about emotional stability? No, I'm talking about, let's get out 1 second from the spiritual point of view, from the economical point of view of the success of a company. What is creating the most conflicts and troubles inside? Emotional instability of the people. So we need to take care of that aspect, no? If we want to have good profit and if we want to have do the things to go well. From the spiritual point of view, it's even much more than that. So what I want to say, in a family, what is creating the most difficulties? The lack of, conditions, or the inner conflicts that become outer conflicts, and the emotional instability. The emotional instability. You know? There are sometimes families that they can have materially nothing and they are so happy together because they are almost emotionally stable people. Other times we can have everything we may ever expected, but if there is no emotional stability, there is so much suffering coming on. So this is the problem. But it's not the family, look, they have, oh, yes, it's true, you know, my uncle's angry, my mother is unsatisfied, this is that. No. This is just an example to see in every context, from the work to the family, to the relationship, to anywhere. What is creating the suffering? Our inner emotional stability. The anger, the jealousy, envy, fear, miserliness, arrogance, and so on. And this is what creates our own suffering. So where is all this suffering coming from? These mental defilements come from selfishness. Selfishness, the self-cherishing mind, this obsession with self-gratification, is the mind through which we see ourselves as the center of the universe, and we relate to each and every one and everything based always on the I and the my. So what happens is that, or if you do something good to me, you are my friend. If you do something bad to me, you are my enemy. If you benefit me, you are my friend. If you harm me, you are my enemy. And if you do not benefit or harm me, I am indifferent to you. Then this multiplies into 9, which is, those that benefit me are my friends. Those that benefit my friends, the friends of my friends, are my friends. Okay? Those that harm my enemy are my friends. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Those that harm myself are my enemy. Those that harm my friends are my enemy. And those that benefit my enemy are my enemy. The friend of my enemy is my enemy. We experience this in our daily lives. If there is someone we don't like, and that person is the friend of the person we don't like, do we have some aversion, attraction, aversion, or indifference? Aversion is coming, you know. So simple how this stupid mind works. But and to make things a little bit worse, how do we relate within this to all the 9 parts? Because we have friend, the friend of the friend, the enemy of the enemy, which is my friend. Then I have my enemy, the enemy of my friend, and the friend of my enemy, which are all enemies. Then I have another 3, which is those that are not benefiting or harming me, not benefiting or harming my friend, nor benefiting or harming my enemy. And I am indifferent to them. To all these 9, to all the 9, we relate in 3 attitudes. Not all the time, luckily, but very often. Towards someone that have a quality, let's say physical beauty, material wealth, fame, respect, attention, whatever. If there is someone that has more, it's more rich than me, what attitude we have towards those that have more? We rejoice, hopefully. But normally what we do? We are envy. So the attitude of selfishness towards those that have more is to be envy. Towards those that have the same level, we do not support each other. What do? We compete. If you have the same amount as me, I must show to you that I have more and I must become better than you. And towards someone that have less, we try to help that one to develop. I hope so. But what we do? Arrogance. So we have envy towards those that have more, competitiveness. We compete to those that are equal. And we have arrogance towards those that have less. It's so tiring, no? We never relax. He's always comparing. Because the crazy thing is that the selfish attitude, at the same time that we are centered at the I and the my, we are not able to see ourselves without comparing ourselves with others. So we are always looking at the others, what they think about me, how are they, so how I feel. We're always comparing ourselves. Even one time I was thinking, why negative news sells so much? Negative news. If we look in the newspapers and everywhere in the television, so much violent news, no? It's not that good things don't happen in the world. Wonderful things also happen, but they don't sell. But this is not because of that the newspaper are bad. We have this tendency to say, the media are very bad, they base on violence. It's not exactly like that. Forget for one instant about the media. Let's look our own daily gossips. People talk more about good things that happen or about bad things that happen? Bad things. We don't go and say, you don't know what happened. Oh, that person, he had such a nice understanding. And he could accept his difficulties with his friend. And they could have a really nice day and something so beautiful happened. Do you ever listen to this type of gossip? I don't think so. Most of the time is, you saw that happened. Oh, you don't know what he did so bad. Oh, I had happened and this and that. It's always about the fault. So one time I was thinking, why? Why we like so much negative news? And the answer that I found was, I'm generalizing, we like negative news because when we see someone that is worse than us, we feel better. Oh, I'm not that bad. Look at that. Look, he's worse than me. When we criticize others, is a way to feel ourselves superior. Okay. So, this is all manifestations of our own selfishness. And it's really tiring. It's really, really something that generates the main cause of our own suffering. Also because I don't think anyone has ever had anger, jealousy, pride, miserliness, arrogance, fear, related to something that was totally not related to the I and the my. We don't get angry because of something that I have nothing to do with, and at least it must be with my point of view, my understanding is like this or like that. Normally it's always connected to something which is related to the I and the my. Okay, so what is the way how it works? Whenever we enter in contact, this is the way of the selfishness. Whenever through the selfishness we enter in contact with something or someone that is beneficial to us, we have attraction. Whenever we enter in contact with something that we see as harmful to us, an enemy, we develop aversion. Okay? From attraction and aversion, we developed attachment, desire, insatisfaction, jealousy, pride, miserliness, anger, hatred, violence, and so on. Okay, we know it quite well. So where is this coming from? Coming from our selfishness. Where is selfishness coming from? It's coming from ignorance. The ignorance of not being able to see reality as it is. Okay, I will just make two examples. In the next days, we will go more deep into this aspect, but just very short examples. We live in a reality, or in a world. The world that surrounds us is permanent or impermanent. It's impermanent, right? Things are constantly changing. But when we perceive reality without analyzing it, are we aware of this impermanence? How does reality appear to us? As being permanent or impermanent? Permanent, actually. Why we suffer when things change? If I see you today and I'm going to see you tomorrow, who do I expect to see? The same person. Okay. So we see reality as if it was permanent when actually it is impermanent. This is a form of ignorance. We live in a reality that is objective or subjective, if we analyze it. Actually, it's a subjective reality. But how do we perceive in a non-conceptual way, daily basis, how do we perceive reality? As if it was objective. So here again, which is our ignorance? To perceive the subjective reality as if it was objective. Okay? So ignorance is the root of suffering. From ignorance manifests selfishness and all the rest. Okay? If we do not eliminate ignorance, we will never be able to eliminate truly anger, for example. They're directly connected. So, we see suffering. We recognize that the causes of suffering are our ignorance and our selfishness and all the actions that we do by them. Verbal actions, physical actions, mental actions. Can we reach a state of happiness? Which is the third point. I believe yes. I believe we can reach a state of well-being and happiness. Through what? By the fact that it's possible for us to eliminate our negative habits, such as anger or jealousy and selfishness. It's possible to change ourselves. Also because, it's possible to change our mind, to diminish, to eliminate our negative attitudes, and to develop our qualities as love and compassion and patience and stability and wisdom is possible. So from that, it's possible to reach a state so-called enlightenment, which is where all the qualities are developed to the maximum potential and the defilements are completely eliminated. I believe it is possible. So the fourth point is how. Here we must use one quality of the mind, which is the fact that the mind is flexible. And whatever direction we give, it follows. So the more I repeat something, the more that becomes natural and spontaneous. That's where comes the teachings when we called for practice of Lojong or mind training. Why do we mean the word train? Because if I repeat myself something, if I repeat, slowly it becomes easy. It's like playing an instrument. It's like learning how to do an exercise. It's like doing anything. The more I repeat it, the easier it becomes, until it becomes natural and spontaneous. So the process is the process of training ourselves into what? We need to train ourselves into two things, which are the antidotes of ignorance and selfishness. Because to eliminate selfishness and ignorance or any other mental state is not enough just to say, I don't want that. Have you ever tried to eliminate a thought? Did it work? Normally not. When we try to put away one thought, what happens? It sticks even stronger. So if I have the thought, I don't like water, how do I change this mind? By developing a mind that has a direct opposite mode of apprehension, which means I like water. Try for one instant to think, I don't like water and I like water at the same time. Is it possible? No. Can we at the same time think, okay, I like the temperature of the water, but I don't like the taste? Can we think that together? Yes. Why? Because they are not directly contradictory. So, what's the point here? If there is a state of mind that I want to eliminate, what do I need to do? Develop a directly opposite mode of apprehension, a directly opposite mind. Then I eliminate that one. So based on this principle, we need to train our mind into states of consciousness that are directly opposite to the ones that cause our self-suffering. And at the same time are the ones that will build up our happiness. Because when we take away anger, it's not there remains an empty space there. It's like if there is darkness and come in light. It's not that first the darkness go away, then there is some empty space and then the light come in. No? As the darkness fades away, the light comes in. It goes together. The two things happen at the same time. Similar to that, as we eliminate anger, we develop love. The two things need to come together. As we eliminate anger, we develop acceptance. The qualities and the defilements, they come together like a scale. Okay? So, we use this ability of training ourselves for that. So we need to train ourselves into two main things, which are, first, love and compassion that oppose to selfishness, and second, wisdom that opposes to ignorance. Okay? So these are the two wings on the path to enlightenment, which are called method, which is love and compassion, and all the other aspects. The part of method is more vast. There is method, which is basically love and compassion, which is the two aspects of the same feeling, of the same aspect, mind. But then it comes together, generosity, patience, morality, many things comes together. But basically it's developing love. So we have the attitude of love and compassion on one side, one wing, the right wing, and the left wing we have wisdom. And with these two wings we can fly towards enlightenment. Okay? But we need to train ourselves. Because the more we repeat, the easier it becomes. Because otherwise we are constantly training ourselves into something. The more we complain, we have a very good complaint training, many of us. You know? Because the more I complain, the more I will complain. Because we need to remember, to complain is a habit. A very negative one, but it's a habit. People don't complain because conditions are not good. People complain because they're used to complain. Even this last time I was in Brazil with my grandfather, he's 92. And then one day, something happened. I never saw him complaining about anything. This time he said one small thing because he said, the situation is difficult regarding one specific thing which is really difficult. But I never saw him complaining. And then someone was complaining, and then someone said, people complain a lot. And then he just said, he's not a person that speaks so much, but he's very precise in when he says something. He says, complaining is a habit. Just say, don't need. No? He's a person that he went through Second World War, Jewish, escaped from when he was 14, left everything he knew in Germany, went to Brazil, started from nothing, lost everything he had, rebuilt everything again. So many difficulties in life. Had success, but always never complain about anything, ever. And he has very clear, complaining is a habit. What do we miss in order to be happy? Is there anything materially that we need that we don't have in order to be happy? I don't think so. What is the condition that we miss to be happy around, that is not there, that we are really missing? I don't know, maybe sure, we are always insatisfied. This would be good, that would be good. But if we really look deeply, we have another habit, which is the habit to suffer. I'm sorry to say. In Italian there is a saying which is, it's too good to be true. Why? Why can't it simply be good, The other day I saw one situation where there was a person and it was the most beautiful, nice situation, wonderful everything. But then, cannot enjoy, need to remember something negative and talk about the problem and complain about something. It's a habit. So we need to change our habits. By not following them in a way, I would not complain, bite the tongue. Because when we are able to control our speech, gradually we control our mind. First we start by the speech, then after we go to the mind. And suffering is the same. We are used to see the negative aspect and not the positive aspect. It's a habit to suffer. Okay? So basically, there are methods, very specific methods that have been taught of training ourselves, of self-inducing ourselves in certain states of consciousness and training ourselves to develop love, compassion, and wisdom, the two wings for enlightenment. And this is what these next days are going to be about. This is what I want to share with you, is this method of training. We call it mind training. To train ourselves in what? Method and wisdom. Love, compassion, and wisdom. How do we train on that? Remember that the word training means repeating. Like, normally to train is not like, oh, I do once I understood. No, train means repeat again and again. Something that in the middle, in the beginning I don't do so well. Slowly, slowly I make it better and better and better and better and better. How? By repeating it in the right way. Okay. So there are very specific methods that can help us to develop these two important qualities that are love and wisdom in order to bring ourselves stability and overcome our selfishness and our ignorance. Okay? So this is all for this morning. And just remember that if you can start reading slowly the text, here we have basically 4 texts, okay? And it's nice if we can also read a little bit the history of the mind training teachings, where it's coming from, and so on. And I added here 4 texts, which is coming in the correct in the following. Also, they are added here in the same order of time. The first one was taught by Atisha, which was master from the beginning of the 11th century, end of the 10th century, beginning of the 11th century. Then we have the other one, which is the 8th verse of mind training from the 11th century of Geshe Larintampa. After that came Geshe Chekawa Yeshe Dorje with the 7-point mind training. And later came Panchen Lobsang Chokyi Gyaltsen, which is the same one that wrote the Guru Puja that we do so much. And he wrote this text, of medicine to vomit the inner tumor. And it's a very strong text, okay? So it is prohibited for minors of 18 years old of practice. Now, just to say, it's a text that anybody can read, but it's a self-criticism text. So it's important, it's mostly good for people that have some basis of the Buddhist practice already. Anybody can read it, but it's basically for someone that already have some base. Otherwise, some parts we can have some wrong understanding. Okay? So this is it. So we will stop for lunch now. Omahun temba lame sangye rinpoche, kyoba lame tamcho rinpoche, temba lame gendo rinpoche, kyamne kuncho sumla chopa. Facciamo le dediche finali anche. Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar tinle chochur gepa dang losan tempe dreme sasumgi drove munsel tautu ne gyurchi nimo dele tsendele nime kunyan delekshin ninsen taktu delekpe Concho sumke jingi lo, concho sumke ngodrup sol, concho sumge trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realization and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.